I am super stoked to be able to show you this pattern. The pivoting stack data pattern is so useful and it comes up over and over again. Once you recognize that you have data in this format, you're going to love this because it actually makes it super easy to clean it up. So, what kind of data do you need? Well, you need something that looks like this that needs to convert it to this. Now, if you look at the data on the left hand side, your source data here, you'll notice that it actually has a very specific pattern that it's following. It's got a header row of transactions. And after that, you can see that it goes date, vendor, amount, space, date, vendor, amount, space, date, vendor, amount, space. It has this consistent repeating pattern that has blocks of 4 data points. Even though the last data point in that block is a space or an empty value, it's still date, vendor, amount, space, and it repeats throughout the entire file. And unfortunately, this kind of data, this format is way more common than you would hope. I mean, even today, I can still download my credit card statement. It comes in a format like this. As a matter of fact, that's the original data sample we had is based on that exact scenario. So how do you take something like that and easily convert it into a table? Because let's face it, without a really good pattern behind you, this is going to be a nightmare. Let's go look at a demo. So here we are in Excel. Let's go grab some data from text or CSV. We're going to import these Visa transactions. Import. And you'll notice that it gives us a nice listing here that has this pattern that we're looking for. So we're going to say edit, and we're going to bring it into Power Query. Now, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that we appear to have a header here of transactions. So we better promote that to header. And this is where I can recognize that I have a pattern that follows this consistent method. Date, vendor, amount, space, date, vendor, amount, space, date, vendor, amount, space. Now, I could filter this listing right now to try and get rid of spaces, but I'm not sure that I really want to do that because if I do, and somewhere there's something that doesn't have a vendor name, it goes date, space, or amount, space, that would shift the entire pattern off. And the key that we really need here more than anything else is consistency. This is set up right now in blocks of 4 rows per record. And that's what we need to know. So I can always deal with blanks later. I'm going to leave them alone for right now. Just let them do what they need to do. And I'm going to run the pattern on this to unwind this guy first. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our transactions column here, and we need to add our file line item ID and then work out our transactions and whatnot. So to do this, and this is the standard pattern that we always follow when we run into this single column of repeating pattern. We're going to go to add column, and we're going to go to add an index column. Now, if you click on the button here, you'll get the default, which is from 0. And that's exactly what you need. In order to make this pattern work, we must run our index from 0. We can't use from 1. So we're going to say from 0, and this will now give us a file line ID number. You can see that it continues all the way up, starts at 0 and 1 at a time goes all the way up. At this point, the next important thing that has to happen is we have to identify what is the value that indicates the first row of the second transaction. So as we look down here, we've got date, vendor, amount, space, date. Well, date is the first row of the second transaction. And the key part is that the magic number is from the index column. Do not pull the one from the row number. It's the one from the index column. So with that in mind, what we can do now is we can go and say, let's add a new column. I'm going to grab our index. We're going to add a new column based on a standard divide integer, and we're going to put in the magic number, which is 4. And then we're going to say, okay, this returns a transaction ID number. Notice that the first 4 rows are all 0. The second 4 rows are transaction number 1. The third 4 rows are transaction number 2. Okay, so this is a transaction ID number. Now, the next thing that I need is a transaction line ID. To get that, I'm going to grab the index column, go to transform, standard, and I'm going to do this weird thing called modulo. Once again, we put in the same magic number that we had before, which is 4. Now, what modulo actually does is it attempts to take away as many 4s as it can from whatever the value is that's in the index column, and it leaves the remainder behind. So when we say OK, you'll see that we now end up with 0123, 0123, 0123. So this is the transaction line ID number. Every date has an index of 0. Every vendor has an index of 1, every amount an index of 2, and every one of these blank rows has an index of 3. So now with the transaction ID number and the transaction line ID number, we can now complete the pattern. On our index column, I'm going to select it, and then we're going to go to pivot column. We're going to use the values here to become our column names. And it says, where is your values column? Well, the values column that we want to pivot to show in the body area is the transactions column. We are also going to expand the advanced options. This is super important because if we don't, it will count the number of items and we're going to get 1 for everything. We don't want that. So we're going to expand the count and we're going to go to Don't Aggregate. This means that it won't run any mathematical or statistical functions across this. It's going to return the value from in this transactions column into the right place. And it works just like this. Okay, and boom, there we are, the actual values in place. Now, you'll notice at this point that we got a couple things going on. The integer divide or division column seems to be hanging around, but what purpose did it serve? Well, it has to be there in order to actually do this for you nicely. Otherwise, you'd have to be doing a whole bunch of filling stuff back and forth. So by having it in place before you do your pivot, everything works beautifully. Once you've actually done the pivot, there's no remaining value for it. So now you can say remove, but you want to have it there to make it come out in this format. The last column, column 3 here, is where all of our blank values showed up. And we can also see by seeing the null down the end here that this must not have ended with a blank row. No big deal. Nulls, blanks are pretty close to the same thing. If this was a really long data set, we would filter this before we delete it just to make sure that we only had nulls and blank values. But with that, we can right click and remove it. No problem. So now we can go back and say, all right, let's rename this guy to date. We're going to rename the next one over to vendor, and the final column will be amount. And then we can set our data types. Our amount column is going to be currency. Our vendor will force it back to be text again, just to be safe. And the date column, because it's coming from a text file, we should import this using locale and define what is that data format. And we can see that it is very obviously month, day, year. So let's make sure that Power Query knows. We'll force it to be a date. We'll go down to F for English US, and we'll say OK. And everything looks like it's nicely converted here. You can even drop the name Visa from the transactions table. And now we can load it out. And we have a beautifully pivoted data set from a single stacked column of values. And again, this is a pattern that we can use over and over again as long as we follow it.